up picking, I mean, maybe there's an option to pick him on like Red 3. Aurelion Sol, you need to have a lot of information to make sure that actually you have a good laning matchup and one that you can actually perform in team fights as well. Not every game is going to give you that. That one, it really did. You could see that even then, there were some worries about actually what happens when you're against the Cassiopeia, which was the laning matchup in which Care took into it. But either way now, because you're now sat on the red side as FPX, I don't think you're afraid of an Aurelion Sol being locked in on the first 3, which gives you the ability maybe to pull it out yourself in Red 4. Actually, maybe even Top Esports needs to ban it in the second round of bans. We'll see what happens with that. They're hovering over some bot lane picks right now. See what their real priority is. Fire's off the board, so we're not going to have a Vi Wukong trade for one of the first times today. Maokai locked in for TES.
Yeah, and we saw Tien's Maokai the other day. If I'm not mistaken, he pulled out the Moonstone as
we've seen that a couple of times.
Maokai.
Yeah.
So one of the propagators of this new build, the Maokai in the jungle. We'll see if Top Esports are going to opt into that once again. Yep, Tarzan, one of the first ones to do it. As the Zeri will be taken by FPX here, which does mean that, like, when we saw it last, I think it was the Zeri for Jackie, so you can kind of see that late game having the Maokai as the savior there. The Zeri taken on the other side, perhaps they'll go for more damage.
You are actually right. It was, of course, Game 2 in their series loss versus OMG. They won with that pick, though, and it was the Redemption second item as well, which I just find hilarious, man. I just find it so funny that Maokai, you can nerf him all you want. He's just around. His ultimate's too strong. He's too able to buy space for his carries. And when you go something like Moonstone, you're almost like a second enchanter from the jungle. So even though Zeri has the Lulu, whatever Jackie Love locks in is going to have that extra bump up of stats and healing from Tien potentially going towards that build in the jungle. See if it comes out today. Of course, you can still build him much more as a frontliner. This is a little bit back more to what we expected from Top Esports earlier in the split. Top were very, very good around playing around the one-item spike for Lucian Nami. In fact, one of the things which really fell off about this team is that they were playing this less and finding less success with it. I think it was even JDG, which they ended up losing for one of the first times on this combo with, and that kind of broke them on it. It felt like they've never reached that same level of form again.
I want to quickly mention as well, game number 2 against OMG, that's when Tien played this Maokai last. It was a very different look than Lucian Nami. They played the Jinx with a Tahm Kench. Like, it's about as polar opposite of a bot lane as you can get. So excited to see what Top Esports are going to do.
It's like a guy, it's someone with guns, there's a fish thing next to them. It's pretty similar to me.
That's true, actually. When you word it like that, I suppose you're not wrong. But either way, very, very aggressive bot lane from Top Esports. A very different look to what we saw in game number 1 of this series, in the successful game against OMG as well. So we'll see what the rest of their map ends up looking like, whether they still go towards scaling like game number 1 of the series, or whether they do opt for aggression across the board.
Yeah, the thing is, with something like the Maokai, if you have winning lanes already and you can actually go towards them, the Maokai is very good at maintaining lanes. He's not always the best at ganking them. He struggled a little bit to get onto targets, even with a flash W. He's not the strongest early ganker, especially compared to other champions of the meta right now. But this is actually something that we saw a lot out of IG. It's one of our teams that is still not quite determined in playoffs. They're, in fact, one of the 2 remaining ones which isn't. But something like that they did was use the Maokai to just maintain winning lanes. We're not going to see Aurelion Sol winning lane this time. It's been banned away, banished to the heavens once more.
I think rightly so, honestly, after that previous game. Not looking to pick it as your next pick. You don't want rookie playing that champion, so banning it away. And Top Esports likely to ban another top laner. It is the Jack's taken off the table, so Care's beloved, his beloved Gragas still available if he does want to go for that one, whereas it's a blind Cassante for FPX.
I think it's a pretty good angle for Wayward's most played of the Nara as well. I think in this game, when you have the ability to kind of play around other people kind of half engaging, Nara can struggle sometimes to be the only engage on the team. But when you have a Maokai, you've got a Nami tidal wave and Lucian Nami, despite all of them kind of struggling to piece themselves together as the sole engage, they all help each other out. So actually, I would really like to see this pick in. It's a good individual lane matchup. It is going to be locked in. Now, Rookie, with his absurdly large champion pool, is the pick of the litter, play around what he wants to take in lane.
Certainly does. I would love to see the Twisted Fate. I feel like we see so many Everfrost Aries, and I feel like Everfrost Ari is just worse Twisted Fate in my mind.
You're not wrong! Just don't... Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Okay, got me on currently locked in for Rookie. It's blind, though. Care gets the counter pick, and he's hovering the Silas.
He is. The thing is, though, these drafts are going to be very, very different. I do like the Silas here, though. The Silas, you can steal away the Mega Knight, steal away the Akali, even the culling in the tidal wave, not bad. And then, of course, the Maokai Nature's Grasp. Something that's good into Rookie's Akali would be very important. Of course, Rookie, one of the very greatest players of all time on that champion. Not going to be that Silas, not going to have that same team fight impact, but it is some late game scaling and the ability to kind of flit around the edge of a team fight that maybe the Silas would lack. Kassadin, the cat.
Kassadin locked in, looking to punish the late game. Kind of doing the ASOL thing with the old school version. With the Kassadin looking for that level 16, looking to take over the fights in a very short range composition from top esports. That's the kind of fight where Kassadin will thrive later on in the game.
It's temporarily short range, because as soon as they pull out the Maokai ult or the culling of the tidal wave, they feel a bit longer range than they actually are. Kind of fools you into thinking that. But this Kassadin looking to put a bit of a Rift Spring into his Rift Step as he goes through into this map. This is going to be very important for Care to be a factor early. If you fall behind and you don't get your lane allocations right when Lucian Nami hit their one-item spike, things are going to get very dicey for FPX. Lucian Nami, of course, still has an incredibly strong one-item spike, despite the lane not being seen nearly as much. FPX cannot afford to let that get value.
They certainly can't. We're headed to number 2, top esports, wanting every single win that they can get in this series. If they can get to 9 wins on the board, it's possible for them to potentially contest 6th seed, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's the highest they can get, yes. Which also means that game score matters quite a lot, because currently Sat and 6th are OMG. Now, they have another series to play. They could get ahead of them if they just win that one, right? But if they lose, game score comes into account. Top Esports currently trailing them with a +2. They'll get at least +1 from the game that they had here. If they were to win this, go up to +4. We'd still need OMG to lose their own series. It could get a bit funky.
Yeah.
But at least puts things into account. If they do get 6th, it actually does get them beyond first round. Or 7th to 10th, they play in the first round, then 6th. Gets you 1 rung above that. It's going to be a pretty slim window for them to get into it, but it is still technically on the table.
Certainly is. They would need OMG to lose 2-0, right? Because OMG have that head-to-head. We all saw that matchup and the bizarreness of that series, honestly. It's so back and forth and such different looks from both teams every game.
You know, last game we were talking about how we'd never seen Top ever, like, play patiently around the Baron. They just wanted to go at it ham. That kind of cost them their series versus OMG. Maybe that's finally the straw which breaks Top Esports teams back in terms of their way that they approach Baron. Level 1 for these 2v2s. Lots of bursts between both these AD carries, actually, particularly with Zeri. Zeri's right click doing so much damage in the very early levels. Very careful walking up into brushes.
TN being real cheeky to start the game off here. Gets his early ward in. Means that the Raptors will reset. Neither jungle are starting off strong. Remember, Kassadin doesn't really exist as a champion just yet in the game. TN is just
neither mid lane does. Neither mid lane exists. What is this?
Yeah, Hacker does get the big chicken. TN walks away. It's 1 CS for 2 between the two junglers.
He's got it for the red buff. He's gonna take that as well. The thing is that TN, he's taken one of the small Raptors, right? Like a small amount of them, which means that Hacker will have to take something from TN's jungle to even up the score. Despite him getting that big Raptor, he doesn't hit level 2. He does now for second camp. I think TN will be able to get himself that red buff, and we've got ourselves a little bit that I mean, I know we call it vertical jungling. It's technically horizontal jungling if you kind of like split the map that way. TN able to kind of like play strong side towards Wayward right now, and then go back up to his own side of the map. See what he wants to do. Could go back towards his Raptors to make sure that Hacker doesn't get an early invade there. So he's heading over to his wall there.
Yeah. I guess technically it's diagonal jungling, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, technically it's that. But when we call it top, bottom, mid, and you go between them, like, maybe our orientation is right. Maybe there's a compass on Summoner's Rift which actually points diagonally to the left. Maybe that's where north is.
Maybe. Wayward's in trouble in the top side. Shaola, who, if he could find a knockback, could potentially find a kill, but Wayward going to play with his range. Shaola, who not going to go for it in the end. Good pressure on the K'Sante so far. There's equal pressure coming out in the mid lane from Rookie. You can see a massive CS lead already starting to build up, but I believe a wave is crashing, so hopefully Care should be able to at least even that up somewhat. It's going to take some damage for it, though. You know Rookie is not going to let him get CS without being punished.
Rookie, what a player of this champion he has been all time as well. one of the real players to step up and show what you can do mechanically on this champion since his rework Season 8 after the grim days of the Ardent Sensor meta in Season 7. Also on that Invictus Gaming lineup, he was really established himself. He's a true great player of all time. He's continued to do so on this champion over many, many years. See what he can do in this game, though. Has the pressure right now. Might be very important, actually, in this game because these junglers are fighting so much. Mid lanes are going to come into that equation at some point.
Yep, TES on his blue buff here. And Rookie definitely has priority in that mid lane to move on over. I think Hacker realizing that this is not actually a fight that he wants. And will leave TES to farm away. Has to return to his own jungle instead, going towards those chickens. This means TES, I don't think, has lost any camps right now to Hacker. And is moving over. Doesn't have smite available. Should
the Raptor
force the
respawn. We're back at it again.
Hacker once again. And like you say, denying a lot of that 24 gold stolen away. Every time Hacker goes to those chickens, TES is there.
It's just like the trees are moving. The trees are just here every single time. Goes into the jungle. Like one of them just opens its eyes, starts smashing down on your jungle camps. TES just permanently playing the other side of the jungle. Some of our very best LPL junglers, of course, have made an absolute habit of this. Spring 2023, Tarzan, JJ getting up into the enemy jungle, denying something, even if it's half camps, something. However, he's walking up, and that TES is not going to get anything from this one.
Yeah, good pathing from LWX and Chocho to deny the potential invade. They could have just walked down through lane, but choosing to go through that jungle, going as a pair to make sure that they could safely deny potential invade. So TES just going to get the Scuttle Crab, head back to base himself, get some items before the next clear. So decent stuff on both sides. A minor lead for top esports, but it isn't much to be talked about. So let's talk about how we're approaching the rest of this early game, how we're approaching the mid game in America. Because I feel like top esports with a Lucian Nami bottom lane surely should have the front foot forwards in the early game.
They should do, and also the Maokai ult coming online around that Herald fight as well. I really don't think FPX have any inroads in towards the Herald. If top were to get themselves onto the early dragon, I think at that point you're seeing two early objectives going over. Robert has himself the ult as well. Clears out the wave with it, so they can like the rest of that wave. TES probably are going to get themselves the early objectives of the game. For me, it's a real big question about what they're going to do with their early power plays, because what you really need to do, sit on your laurels, you do need to keep in mind the fact that you are against a Cassidy, who at some point in the game is going to be pretty terrifying. He finds himself against something like a Mininar in a side lane, finds his way on top of someone out of position on vision. Can't allow them to kind of sit pretty and scale, just like you did, of course, in that last game, that Aurelion Soul. So watch to see what they do with the big first Herald, and how they can snowball that into something like that first item spike.
Yeah, the first Drake will be taken here by top esports. As you're saying, neutral objectivity in their favor. Rookie now level 6 in that mid lane as well. Has the Hex deck alternator. A serrated dick for Jackie. Even though they're not at like mythic spikes, these are small spikes in each lane, right? Where if you do end up in a skirmish, these items will offer a lot of front-loaded damage to the play. Herald up in a minute. Like you said, you should favor top esports to go for that one. And I've got a feeling we're going to see a really slow game here for the first half of it at the very least.
Say that enough, maybe more bubbles will land. Maybe that's the way that we officially speed up the game, so the legend goes. But yeah, I mean, particularly around that Herald, FPX, I don't think they win 3v3 topside either because of that Akali ultimate being up, as you kind of called that level 6 in that mid lane. Very important as soon as that Akali comes online. Base damages of that, and very, very handy, especially with something like a Mega Gnar on the table too. Jackal and Mark, I think that they're alone in the spot side, hit level 6 first, good amount of damage.
Oof. An attempted bubble onto Chocho there. Mark knows that LWX is being forced out of the play. If the bubble lands onto Chocho, he'd be totally alone. Jackalov still had the piercing light available. Really interesting combo actually there from Jackalov. Not using the piercing light onto LWX, forcing LWX over the wall, trying to save that burst to assassinate the support.
Okay. So with Chocho and LWX kind of losing out in that last phase of laning play, they're not going to be able to go towards top side if FPX did want to do something cheeky around that. See that TES actually skipped over doing his Krugs to hit level 6 at this point, just to get himself another camp from somewhere if he were to have that ultimate available. Or something like a Herald. Of course, one of the huge things which Maokai really wants at that point in the game. Take himself. Right to take himself. The Scuttle Crab. Doesn't get level 6 off of that just yet, though. That's the next big mark. As soon as you have TES with that ultimate, big plays become available for them. Struggles to get inroads into lanes very early on with just like a flash W. Ultimate makes your job very easy to do that.
Certainly does. Mark, upgrading his support item already. Very quickly done there by the Top Esports support. Will give a lot of vision control for him. And now we'll see what Top Esports can do. Now that they've got these ultimates online, like you say, TN waiting for that level 6. He's just hit it as well. Could be a good opportunity for them to try and make things happen. The Herald on the map, but looks like nothing from FPX in terms of trying to contest the Herald. Hacker moving into the bottom lane instead.
Yeah, so now this is a really important moment. Can Jackie and Mark kind of survive on the spot side when there's a potential cross map coming in? It's not the easiest way in. Hacker can dash out of the brush. You've got to understand you're on the weak side of the map here, guys. You're taking Herald. Walking up to that wave, not necessarily the safest thing to do.
Perhaps trying to bait some abilities out. Does have
okay, they know the play's on. They should absolutely know the play's on at this point. The wave's pushing out, so guys, come on.
Jackie, though, still goes forward. The Cyclone has been used, though. I think maybe intentional from Jackie to try and overforce the play while they're not underneath the tower, right? So that the dive can't be as successful. Hacker, no flash, no Cyclone. Care moves in. This is not a 2v1 that he wins. The bubble slightly wide as Jackie gets some damage out. The wave will crash at the bottom side, but the way FPX can dive this anymore.
Okay, fair play. Actually, you know, I think you called it right. I think they were just drawing out that play. They knew that even if they lose the flash on Jackie, he just loses a lot of time. You know what this means? Raptors are gone again, Munch, they're gone. Tien just really wants that popcorn chicken. He just really, yep, you know what? This is what I'm feeling this game. Takes that one away, takes away a lot from the top side, thinking about it. I know he's got an inroad towards top side as well, has himself the Herald, could potentially get a big play. Wayward jumping forward.
Yeah, Shaola, who will be rooted up here. Bramble Smash comes through. And it's 10 minutes into the game as first blood lands for Top Esports. This might be the first time ever that a first blood has taken 10 minutes for Top Esports.
Gosh, and again, just knowing the history of this team, the team of mojo, the team of aggression, of flair, they're playing a lot more measured. And maybe that is a result of their loss streak. Maybe it's a result of how really struggled to make ends meet in this last run of form. They had a coaching change midway through this split. They've had to reinvent the way that they are trying to play as well. It feels like they've changed their identity a number of times, despite the number of the champions on your team on the screen right now being ones that they're known for in this second game. They don't actually pull that Herald in that play up towards topside though. They don't feel the need to do so. Actually, if you're winning a top lane matchup, all the time you don't really need to put Herald there. You're going to take that turret anyway. You don't have to waste a resource like a Herald on it. It does mean that Tien at this point gets to do what he wants with it.
A lot of the time in top lane, you actually don't want to take the tower that early. Like, being able to stay in the laning phase when you're winning can be super beneficial. I don't think it's that one-sided in the top lane to the point where you're going to be able to completely zone Xiaolahu out or anything like that, but theoretically at least can be valuable there. Tien, though, hovering around the bottom side, like you say, Herald in pocket, Drake is up as well, which, again, Top Esports would love to continue to control those neutrals for the first half of the game. Hacker spotted out, tanked a little bit.
Yeah, so Dragon is spawning. Tien still has Herald in inventory, so if FPX were to set up poorly for this objective and try and contest it, maybe there's an option where that can come in. Sad. Because those plays would be really nice for like an army. Jackie is just backed, has himself an awful lot of raw AD with the Dirk on top of just the components for the Gale Force. I was chatting with a couple of people about Lucian builds a little while ago, because a lot of people kind of, you know, really value the Gale Force on the Lucian. Some people think that you maybe could skip Dirk now, but when you do hit Dirk plus Gale Force plus Imperial Mandate, because you're really waiting for that Mandate on your Nami to be hit as well for Lucian to really start popping off. Having the extra pen and the extra very high value from those base components can really just put you over the edge in terms of damage, particularly when you've got a lot of champions on this team of FPX, which are liable to get shredded.
They certainly are. And like you say, just delaying the Mythic ever so slightly. It feels like interesting to see the Ruse come through. Chocho in trouble, but the knock-up landing Wild Growth is there, but so is the damage. Tien with his second kill of the game. 2 ganks, 2 kills, and now Herald in the bottom lane. This might just be a tower taken. You can even just let that go and move over towards the Drake. That's
a lot of plates down. You said that they missed the one, but they managed to share a lot of that gold between the Lucian and the Nami. Of course, Nami is a little bit of early gold too to get to. That was that first item spike. Lose 1 plate towards that Cassin. Of course, scaling fears that Top Esports will have to take into account, but getting Illusion Nami to that point of power, very, very important. Some patience on that Herald, working out the top Esports. They take the Dragon out.
Beautifully done by top Esports, like you say. Slow and steady. And I will say, it's kind of weird to see FPX being so slow and steady, and it's more specifically, weird to see Hacker playing slow and steady, right? This is a player that, within the Chinese community, got known as Ultraman for being able to power up for 15 minutes. Great. Absolutely insane. Beyond 15 minutes, kind of switches off again, and
it's like
had some rough late games. Let's just word it like that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I know it's kind of like one of the anime in vogue right now, but you know My Hero Academia, right? It's like All Might has been like, yeah, I'm super strong, the strongest thing in the world. But like, 10 minutes or so, we'll see how long I can manage this time. I can definitely vibe with that from Hacker. He's kind of grown out of that a little bit in this split at least. He's found himself some ability, even on some of the games like that he's played at Maokai himself, to kind of rein himself back in. But in this game, it's really kind of sad because while we know him to be an aggressive player, what are you playing towards? The Zony Lulu doesn't give you that many options. Had one try towards bot lane and they could make that work. Top side, really for either. You could have cast it in mid. You've been sat there trying to fight over Raptors your whole first 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's been a tough first 15 minutes for Hacker, that is for sure. Like you say, the casting in the mid lane, denying a lot, all out on the top side. We wanted to see something from Hacker. Here it is, the play onto Wayward. He's flashed over the wall, but there's no blast cone. Can he escape? I don't think he has his E available. And 3 players sent up to the top side to finish him off.
And it's a kill over to the Kassadin, the Scaling Fear. 11 levels right now. That's your second tier of your ultimate. Already at this point in the game, you're kind of worried that Kassadin can start getting some skirmish wins. You're not necessarily going to be cleaning up team fights as cleanly as later into the game. A second tier of Riftwalk means it makes it much easier for you to side lane, makes it much easier for you to sit in lane. Rookie, on the top side of the map, is going to find Hacker. It's the other advantage.
Yeah, this could be a kill. The Shuriken lands as well. Maybe he can follow this one up. Flash. Perfect execution is the name of the game. Beautiful stuff. Is he going to go for more on this one as well? Shuriken lands. Rookie 2v1. 2 solo kills. Insane stuff.
On his iconic champion, one of many, gets a huge play. Jojo hiding behind the minions is going to live for now, but Rookie, you can't let this guy have a Kali. What a player.
It feels like there's a great many picks that you can't let Rookie have, and now a dive to mid lane as well. The wild growth comes out. Is it enough? LPX surviving for now, and the dive dissuaded in the end.
Just about. So they are going to have to recall. Might mean that they lose this tower in the mid lane. It is that one-item Lucian Nami spike. Doesn't quite get enough to get the kills. They're still blowing up on that side of the map. Just after top Esports have taken the bot lane turret. Just about finish off that top lane turret as well before we go into that replay. Rookie finds an angle onto Hacker. This Wukong is not in a position right now where he can deal with the Akali. Rookie is able to just kind of start churning through those passes. Even Shallow, who nothing to said about that, steals the red buff, of course, from the kill onto Wukong. Maybe that's what gives him the boldness. Go forward into that kill. Yeah. And he acts like it's nothing! This guy! He acts like it's nothing!
Rookie has literally won the World Championship, getting a couple of solo kills against the team that's in, what, 13th, 15th place? I don't think he's too worried about it. Rookie looking amazing as always. I can't believe he died to that tower as well. That was like 450 damage from that final tower shot.
Well, that was one of the changes which came in on patch 13.4, I want to say. Some changes to stop early dives coming in. I think that was meant to be targeted at junglers, not at mid laners 1v2ing you, but Rookie caught out all the same.
Yeah, I think Rookie inspiring a lot of solo queue players to lock in the Akali with a performance like that, knowing that you could just 2v1. But top Esports setting up for a Drake. They've already got 2. It's Cloud Soul, not the greatest in the world. Can be very good for Lucian, I will say, as speeds you up during your culling. But I don't think FPX are actually going to contest this one by the looks of their positioning.
Oh, well, what options do they have? Again, they're just waiting for something to come online. They're losing in the mid lane. They're losing in the mid lane where the bot lanes are currently stationed, because again, you're against this huge power spike of Lucian Nami when you get to 1 to 2 items. Harold's going to go down with that as well. Oh, Wayward
slams Hacker back, but doesn't manage to find the stun tidal wave. Will not be enough. The roots come through as well, but no further kills there from top Esports. Oh, what a second Jojo! Nearly gets rinse by just a bubble and a culling. So much damage. Care trying to push in this side lane, but I mean, you're contesting against losing an inhib tower in the mid lane.
Yeah, and again, like, Care is getting something on the side lane, but FPX, they need him online now more than ever. They need it to come quickly. Wayward's going to walk up towards this top side, stop him from finishing off that turret. And Zeri is like hidden under the inhibitor tower. Like, you can't even... What do you do at this point? What do you do when you're sat there trying to defend him inside your own base at 19 minutes? I do like how several times this series now, we've seen top Esports kind of have the option to take a dragon, but actually take something before they can because it's so uncontested. They know they're at a point in power. They don't rush towards the dragon too readily. They make sure they use their power on the map to get the maximum sort of advantage. It's been quite clinical from them, much more than we've seen the rest of spring.
Yeah, great to see. Honestly, it's been kind of refreshing to see this version of top esports today, where not just trying to relentlessly snowball and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Like, actually thinking about how to play League of Legends and actually playing towards their composition strengths. That said, you can anticipate an increase in pace here from top esports because we've got the mythics online for the Lucian army. There's a zeal item there as well for Jaculov. Rookie headed towards his second item. This is the part where Akali and Lucian are going to start to take heads.
Yeah, actually, I really want to kind of double down on that as well, because, again, some people don't really like the fire cannon on Lucian. Some people think that you should go towards the Navori second. But what this does is just give you a cheaper item than the Navori for your second item. Now you are sat at probably the cheapest power spike you can get on the Lucian. You are so far ahead of the loop. Jaculov can show what they did in the first few weeks of spring and play towards their power spikes as strong as they have done. This is going to be very hard for FPX to ever get back into the scaling discussion.
See if they can survive long enough. Level 13 for Care, 3 levels to go until he hits that, you know, the end game, casted in nightmares of old. But it feels like a long way for him. Obviously, the Rod of Ages will give him 1 level. Whether or not that's enough, I'll have to wait and see. Pressure in the mid lane. Now remember, the Herald hit that inhib tower earlier. So just a tiny bit more damage will finish the job. Wayward pressuring in the bottom side in the meantime. Xiaolao, who trying to defend, but I don't know how much he can really do, especially with Mark moving over. Jacking up here as well. The tower will be gone. Might just find some kills as well. But Xiaolao, who backs away, keeps himself safe. Rookie pressuring in the mid lane. So he actually takes a tower shot for his work.
He does not. Rookie going to recall now. So there is actually going to be an objective bounty even outside of FPX. That's how far behind they are in this game. 21 minutes in. Gonna have to get a little bit worried now for FPX. That Baron might be on the table at the top. Hits level 14 before that Rod of Ages starts stacking up. Of course, it gives you that kind of flat level. It does mean that if it's leveling up from, say, 13 to 14, that's different from, say, something like level 14 to 15, like it very likely will be in this game. So slightly more value out of the Rod of Ages when it actually ticks over. But as you're saying, you know, it's kind of hard to play around it until that point happens. Top, I really want to see them now kind of focus in on this Baron, force FPX to fight before they're ready. That could be a real killer blow for FPX.
Certainly could be. Wayward get a pressure in the bottom side, has the teleport available, so it can set up for his team to play around that Baron. And I will say, top esports playing this slow, immaculate version of League of Legends, it feels weird. It feels bittersweet.
How do you feel about it? As a long-time Mojo fan.
On the one hand, yes, they've made it to playoffs, and yes, they're actually looking good in their final playoffs, but at what cost? The reason I'm a top esports fan is not because they look good in the game, it's because they're fun to watch, you know, and I don't know if this is worth it, guys. So, I'd say drop out in 10th if it means you're still top esports. Hang on, going forwards, being aggressive, answering our prayers. 150 gold from first strike. Good God.
Oh my word. Huge amounts of damage. Yeah, well, this is basic. Remember when Talon jungle was the thing with first strike? Exactly the same thing. You actually don't even need to kill. Just chunk him out for like 90% of the HP. You get value off of it. Keeps you ahead of the game. He's even going towards Serrated Dirk. That call forwards afterwards. Again, so many valuable components. And now it is going to be that Baron started FPX. You're going to have to fight before you're ready. You don't have even the Rod of Ages at that 10 stacks. Where are your teleports? Where are your men? Where are you going in this?
Rookie, he's behind enemy lines and he's found Hacker. The TP already coming through from the top laner. Hacker in trouble, and Hacker will be taken down. Surely no, the tidal wave doesn't get him. Perfect, isn't Wayward answered. TN forced to punch. Shala, who looking to carry the ball to the land. Care in the mix here as the top laner tries to protect his Katsunin. Double kill for Care, and everything had looked so good for top esports, but FPX find their moment.
Mojo giveth and Mojo taketh away. 3 kills to Care on the Katsunin. He couldn't have come online at a better point. Hits level 16 at the end of that play as well. Upgrades his broken stopwatch into a Zhonya's, and top esports, just when they were singing their praises about how they were so clinical about the way they play, they failed the pick onto Hacker. He doesn't go down, and they go so deep trying to finish the jungler. The LWX gets huge value. Shallow, a player who's been having a real resurgence, a real discovery of form, gets to run around on the Cassante, being a real threat as well. Top esports massively overstay in this fight. They don't have the staying power to get away with this.
No, Jackie couldn't get any damage onto the jungler. Rookie could have finished off Hacker with his perfect execution, but opting into taking out LWX, I think fair enough on that one. But then, like you say, caught out after the play, and a few kills go over to FPX. Gold only 3,000 ahead for top esports, with a composition that has to snowball, and with a Kassadin on the enemy team that now hit 3 items, now hit level 16, and now has a hat trick in pocket. This suddenly got real scary for top esports in a game that has looked so convincing all game long.
Even the soul not going to be claimed by TES. Dragon picked up by FPX to deny that small bonus as well. Would have been nice to have that again. Try and keep your head kind of like above the waves at this point. Feels like the tide's coming in. This one, which is bearing ships with the sails of FPX. They're the ones which really feel like they got an angle into this game now, despite being down a bit of gold. That gold really doesn't take into account the champions which are on the Rift. Don't have yourself massively winning side lanes at this point. It's not like you got yourself a hull breaker. Care can run down anyone on a side lane at this point. Starting to wonder if this is going to become rookie or bust for top esports. What can this Akali do? This magnificent Akali, which has reigned in terror for so many years, it's got to pull out something special now.
It's kind of funny that you say, I wonder if this will become rookie or bust for top esports, because honestly, this split with the roster changes that happened, it's starting to feel like rookie or bust isn't just the story of this game, but perhaps the story of the whole roster. Bringing in Wayward for today to see if that will change their fate. And it was all looking good. It was all looking hunky-dory until one little overstep. Now FPX in a position to punish. Top esports desperately trying to get mid-prio so they can find their way into this river.
See right now, Rookie has a teleport. Maybe they can look to play around the culling. Shallow has caught out. Managed to find an angle here.
This would be 5v5 if Rookie TPs Wayward in Mega Gnar. Top esports not committing. They know Care is on a flank. They know that they have to be cautious.
Yeah, particularly in moments like that. I mentioned Wayward coming in as a roster change, but Wayward on the Gnar, his most played, most successful champions, could have had an absolutely monolithic ultimate there. You need to be very careful of FPX. Fighting in the true kind of 5v5s, when it's front to back, working better in split scenarios at this point. Maybe you can stop Akali getting those huge, like multi-man ultimates we execute. Rookie made a highlight play of that earlier in the split, getting a 3-man perfect execution. It was against RNG even at that point. But he's got a lot of items. He's incredibly scary, building up towards something like a Shadow Flame in third. But on the other side, if it does become those split fights, he will be the story of the team fight.
He will be, and he's looking for these flanks permanently.
Oh,
very far forward at this point.
The fog now. You can't go in the fog, guys.
It's scary. It's real scary. Jackie Love trying to get some damage out of Hacker. There's a good bubble from Mark. Nearly finds his mark. No pun intended. Yeah, spotted on the wall. They have to back away. As Rookie pushing up at the top side. This game is on a nice edge, honestly.
So I've been playing a bit of Phasmophobia recently. I've been learning the fear of that game. I feel like all of the sensors, all of the tools you've got, as soon as Care is on your side of the map, the lights are starting to flicker, the tools are starting to go off. This guy is the horror story at this point. It is horror survival against Kassadin. You cannot afford to walk too close to Fog of War. Even with a tanky Tian, who's not gone towards the redemption even. Feels like he needs that individual tankiness, and you can understand why he will be starting to struggle to survive through Care's burst as well.
Yeah, top esports trying to play around Vision, trying to keep Vision control of the Baron area. Care in base, but has teleport available. Shallow who trying to move up. Recall comes out from Jackie. Gets a bit of armor pen, but can't quite finish off the LDR there. Not ideal for him.
No. Now we are headed into Dragon spawning in the next 40 seconds will be sold for top esports, but I think if you give up Baron towards FPX, I think they're more than happy with that trade as well. I think that, of course, the soul not something they want to give over. FPX probably have more macro options at that point. It feels like they're the ones which are in control of vision, got some deep vision themselves. Top esports can't say the same of the enemy jungle. Care has teleport. They're hanging out the side lane right now. Link wasted a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh.
Does a lot of damage onto the clone. That's not going to matter all too much. As they're fighting for mid-prior once again, Wayward trying to push this wave to the bottom side to buy some space for top esports. Rookie found by Care, answers with a shuriken. Shallow taking some big hits. Jaggylove is hitting hard, it has to be said. It's just a matter of whether or not Care will hit harder.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, he's hitting hard, but if this was 2 items earlier, even 3, that would be at the point where it's game winning, get fight winning. Now Hacker is caught out on a bit of a flank. Wayward finds him.
This could be game winning. Hacker down to barely any HP. With Drake on the cards, this would be Cloud Soul for top esports if they can find it. But it could also be a devastating team fight if they can't. Jackalove shoving that mid-wave. Once again, fighting for priority.
Let's see what happens to the Caston. Off vision right now, stacking up that ultimate. High mana so far. He could be on a flank. He's got an angle.
Wayward's almost mega, but he ain't mega yet. And Care chunks him out, but takes half of his HP in return. Immediate recall from both solo laners as they know that they need to be healthy for this fight.
Hey, both coming in.
TPs from both solo laners as they know they need to be here. Wayward's mega no!
Oh!
The play! Rookie's on the back line. Hacker done what? Instant triple for Rookie! The man of the century in this fight. Care has to go huge, still surviving. Has a shield over the wall looking for Jackalove. He gets one for himself. Wayward chasing down the Cassidin. They've done enough to get themselves the Drake, but maybe more. Rookie TP trying to find Care. It's a bit of a whiff on the TP.
And in his first series back with top esports, Wayward makes what could be the game-saving, the game-winning play that would see them with a chance to finish 6th place. Wayward, huge ultimate, and you're right, Care wasn't there. He was teleporting back in, but he couldn't quite get there in time. FPX, they've waited for so long for Care to be the story of the team fights, and he was just in the worst possible way around that Soul Dragon claimed for top esports.
What a weird play coming out as the TP locations being the decider here, and FPX staying way too close.
Hugely so. They want to be in range of that dragon, see what they can get off of that. But you get the movement speed from teleport nowadays. Helps Wayward get into the backline, and Rookie is coordinated alongside that to make sure that the damage is completely layered on top of each other. There is no counterplay to what happened there. Care does get himself one exit kill just at the back end of what happened with that, but it's just not enough. You're now facing down that Soul. Maybe you still have your chance to fight your way out of this. Of course, you still got a lot of people online, but top esports get control of the vision which they lacked before. They get themselves that Soul, something which is much needed for them. FPX not nearly as confident as they were before that play.
Certainly not. But even still, it's only a Cloud Soul. Not gonna change the team fights too much. But Rookie will be able to use that movement speed, especially off the first proc of his R. Care, look at this mission.
I think he's trying to find Tien. I think he's trying to hope that Tien is on a camp somewhere. Because of course a lot of them are up right now. Maybe he's looking for an inventive flank. Anyone he finds alone, he kills. But he's not finding anyone alone just yet.
Oh, Wayward has found him alone, and Care immediately on the retreat. Rookie looking to flank him, looking to gain from behind, but Rookie has to use his shroud fairly early on. That's a huge calling on to Jojo and LWX. Jackalove hits the wall though, and in the meantime, the call taking down Hacker, low on HP. Jackalove down, and top esports rooted. Rookie gets 2 though to answer the play once again. Wayward chased out of it. It's 3 for 2, both junglers down.
Oh my gosh, what a split play! And top esports, despite them finding Care out on the flank, despite them running forward with the Lucian Nami combo, cutting down LWX and Chocho to very low HP bars, can't walk away with the play. Care survives despite being caught out at the start of this, FPX, despite losing that last Dragon fight, take the Baron, get themselves into a much more stable position.
And once again, we got to tell the story of Care this year, right? The man has come into the roster looking fantastic. He's been building up over time, and now against Rookie, it is him and Rookie carrying this game on either side. It's him against Rookie, and I don't think many people at the start of this year would have said, yeah, Care is going to be able to go toe-to-toe with Rookie, but he is showing up today in a big way.
You know, it's almost at the point where I'm pretty confident saying I think LPL's mid lane is probably the strongest role we have in the region. When you look at the way that these mid laners perform, some of our old great players of the role have been finding resurgence in this split. Look at Scout, all the MVPs he's had this year. You look at Rookie, of course, in some of the plays he's been making. But the fact that so many people managed to stand up and put themselves along those names in plays like this where Care can just start running rampant in the late game fights. He was trusted to run rampant in the late game fights, and he's starting to really make the most of that opportunity.
And he's looking for that nexus according to the observers
yeah,
well.
Not too subtle on that one, observers.
Top Esports grouping up neither neutral up for another 2 minutes. Look at the damage from Care, man. 7k in the previous fight. He is having a hell of a game for himself, and now Death Count in pocket. They've maybe found a big Shallow, pulls Wayward back. The bubble lands though. The Shallow who's gone too deep. FPX forced to flash out of the play. Dracula retreat as well. Here goes Rookie onto the back line, into the Shroud. He's 1 HP, but he's looking for FPX before he goes down. The Shuriken, no! Cut down, gunned down! In midair, Care knocked up, and Wayward slows him. Care down! Dracula onto FPX, but this is Zeri in the late game. He's turning it around. LWX hammered into the floor by Wayward, who turns out to be the hero in the end.
Wayward saves the day, subbed in for Top Esports, and in some of these crucial clutch moments, it is the Gnar in the top lane, the emote master himself, who comes out with something to save things. I don't think this ends the game. I don't think it does. There are too many towers up. There are too many deaths on both sides. So we will still have another act left in this back and forth and back again. Where do we start with this? I don't even know where to start with this. Chalaho, caught out at the start. He's had a heck of a split so far. I don't think a lot of people would have put him on the table of like the elite top laners as well, compared to many others. That's a sore moment for him. Rookie does not connect the Shuriken flip. If he manages to take out LWX, this fight is so different. But a moment of rare misexecution from Rookie makes this a very close fight. LWX, see what happens after this point. The cleanup potential on both sides is absolutely absurd. It is moments, micro decisions, micro misclicks, which are determining the fate of these team fights. Somehow, some way, we're no closer to deciding the victor of this game.
That is literally just a trade of kills. No objectives up on the map. Wayward can't push the way fast enough to take any towers. And we go again. A TP into the mid lane from Shala, who is Care is threatening in the side lane. Draco. In 10 seconds time, it's Elder Dragon, and we are in for a massive late game fight.
It is. One of the first games of the split that Care had was on the Castlin versus Team WE. He went 10-1-7, 10-1-3 and won that game. Can he be the decider? Put them in a bad situation.
Care's been found. Wayward slams him against the wall. TN over the wall as well. The Brabant Smash is there. He's turned golden. Can he survive?
Down!
Taken down. And Hapkin's gone too deep to try and save him. Care has been carrying this game, but he's found out and taken down. LWX is on a late game. Zeri, he's 1v4. Needs a miracle to keep the game alive, and he's taken out. Top Esports, they might just have done it. They push us to a 2-0 win.
There's no inhibitor in the mid lane. The wave is going to survive, and with 4 members of Top Esports barreling down the mid lane, they will give themselves a shot at 6th place. It's a slim opportunity. They'll need some results to go their way, but FPX, they gave them a hell of a run for their money, but walk away with no wins in the series.
Absolutely ridiculous game to end this series on. Heartbreak for FPX, it has to be said. But what a moment for Wayward as well. Subbed in for this series. He's the one that hunts Care down. He's the one that sets up the pick that wins the game for Top Esports. And a 2-0 scoreline just is not representative of what we've witnessed today.
Absolute madness we have had today. We even had a pretty back and forth series in the first one between Rare Atom and RNG, where both of them were very close to eliminating each other in double knockout somehow, some way. However, at the end of it, between that and series just on your screens just now, we have had some absolute magical team fights throughout. Thought that maybe CAG would walk away. Another casting victory very early into the split, as we say. That a very important victory, or a very flashy victory rather, versus Team WE, who are still sat waiting for their own playoffs qualification. Not there yet, not safe, and we are in a very dramatic last few days of LPL.
We certainly are. And you can see happiness across the team from Top Esports. You can tell that this, and maybe not this series specifically, but this is a team that has been prepping in general. Like, they have been improving their game in a big way. And coming into this series, we saw a much more stable Top Esports, a much more calculated Top Esports that, you know, it does mean slightly slower games for the viewers, but hey, look, a win is a win. A 2-0 win for a team that has been as back and forth as Top Esports have been this split. They finish on a positive 9-7.
It's been a heck of a journey to get to that point. They are still buoyed by how powerful they were in the first few weeks of LPL Spring. It felt like they got a little bit broken when they came up against, particularly, you know, you're looking at the likes of like your JDGs. That was the series which I really felt this team started to stumble. They played the style which they always had done. They had the Lucian Nami. They were playing so well through that. And even in this last game against a team which has had a resurgence but are still out of playoffs, the Lucian Nami very nearly didn't cross that finish line. But some magic and some old hands in the top lane coming back to join that roster as well. Wayward rejoining this roster. They just about get across.
And once again, I want to go back to TN game specifically, because I feel like TN has been a player that has struggled across the course of this year, like has had some really, really rough games. The early game was all TN setting up his lanes, and that final play, the follow-up from Wayward's find, was TN locking Care down. So really, really big game from TN, playing with the rest of the team, showing us that he does still have this in him.
Didn't even need a Moonstone. Went for the full tank build. And yeah, you're absolutely right to bring that up. It felt like the story of the first 15 minutes was Hacker not being able to be, you know, Ultraman, the guy that's super aggressive in the first 15 minutes and then struggles to find impact otherwise. Because the only thing he was fighting over was Raptor respawns. Because Tien immediately walked up and said, you have a caster in mid lane. You don't get to pick through mid-jungle 2v2, which is very different from the meta. Very heads up of the team to get themselves that advantage. It got scary, really scary, particularly around that Baron fumble, which, you know, almost saw them out of this split in a number of ways. It could have seen them out of this split if other results hadn't gone their way. Just about made it in, and now they get a moment of reprieve to head towards playoffs.
Yeah, incredibly tense stuff from Top Esports here, but they do get the win in the end. We're going to head over for an interview. We're going to hear what Mark has to say about that incredibly clean, easy 2-0.
Hello there, welcome to Post-Game Interview. I'm Christina. We're joined by Mark, support for Top Esports. Congratulations on taking down your opponent with a 2-0 victory. I know that you have qualified for playoffs earlier, but maybe you were struggled with some 5 losing streak maybe. So how do you guys manage to turn the tide, especially in today's matchup against the FunPlus? 欢迎 Mark 选手来到我们的赛后采访，也恭喜滔博今天2-0拿下了你们常规赛的收官之战。虽然可能队伍之前已经确认进入到季后赛了，但是好像客观来讲是经历一个5连败的状态嘛，所以想问一下，在这场比赛之前，或者是在很长一段时间之前，队伍都是围绕哪些方面做了调整呢？
因为我们前面一直在输嘛，然后跌到了很大的低谷吧，然后打的都很，所有人都打得很不是自信的嘛，然后后面就慢慢调整，然后今天才是我们赢下来的关键吧，然后大家齐心协力，然后赢一把应该就好了。
就主要是心态方面做的调整吗？你觉得？
心态方面的话，可能之前心态，我感觉我们之前心态感觉挺差的，然后后面的话就因为也输多了嘛，感觉输麻了，然后就调整了很多方面了嘛，然后就觉得 今天的比赛只要拿了胜利，我们后面应该会调整回来的。
Actually, we were really on a 5 losing streak, maybe so we adjust so many aspects like some mentality, and maybe in the past few games we didn't perform comfortably because of that. We really experienced a tough time. But I asked him in terms of some mentality, they do change their mentality, and they think that if they can take down this game, it's really be like the mentality boost for them to play more comfortably or get a better performance in upcoming matchups. But congratulations, win is a win. When it comes to game number 1, you got Aurelian So melee. I know that Rookie has picked its champions maybe in the past few games, but it didn't work well. So why did you guys still pick the champions in this matchup? And how do you guys manage to, or maybe like play around the melee, because this is kind of late game champions. And I saw details that when he dived into the tower, bot lane tower turret, you just flash and heal his 2 summoner spells to protect him. So could you please share us about this part a little bit?
那么其实今天第一局的时候，队伍还是拿出了 Rookie 选手一个龙王的选项。我们之前队伍可能已经选出来过，但是今天打的确实比上回打的更好。想问一下队伍在前中期的时候，可能是就会不会觉得是要围绕着龙王来打？因为我看到当他去下路越塔的时候，Mark 选手这边有一次闪现上去给他治疗，也是一直在保住龙王打。所以可不可以跟我们分享一下有关这些方面的？
今天的话，我们龙王的话就是宋一静比较自信嘛，然后鸡哥之前说给我龙王，然后第一把他很自信，然后我的话就选些保护的英雄，然后多看一下双 C 吧，然后今天所以他的 MVP 挺厉害的第一把。
Actually, I do think Rookie performed pretty good, and he got most valuable player in game number 1 because that is kind of his really comfortable pick. And Rookie just said, "Give me Aurelian Soul, give me Aurelian Soul." So we just picked these champions. And in terms of me, I just need to play some champions to protect our APC and ADC, our mid laner and bot laner, to be supportive to protect them. And something about game number 2, especially comes to late game. I think that you got some leads in early to mid game, but comes to late game. They got Kassard in melee, and they got so many opportunities on flank. So how do you guys manage to make sure you can take down this game, especially in late game when you want to storm Baron or something else? It really brings some tough questions for you guys.
那么其实，在第2局的时候，Taubo 这边前中期是拿到了优势，但后面毕竟你对面有一个后期的这样的卡塞丁，而在后期的时候，这边游戏的节奏也是感觉被迫有一点点被他们拖住了嘛。所以在大后期的时候，你们做了什么样的努力，能够确保把这一场胜利还是拿下的？
因为这把 BP 出来的话，就我们前面下半区要把优势扩大嘛，然后前面要控龙嘛，然后到中期的时候我们还是有一些失误，然后给了对面的机会嘛，导致那卡山丁推了我们的塔，然后还拿了3个人头，所以我觉得这是我们做的不好的地方，后面的话会好好调整一下，后面会做得更好。
Actually, because of our draft in game number 2, we have to get some leads around the ball lane, especially in early game. But maybe when it comes to mid game, we actually made some kind of mistakes or errors. Let Kassard farm pretty good with 3 kills he got in his pocket, and he destroyed a lot of turrets. That is a kind of aspect that we didn't manage well, but I believe that we can manage it better in future. And final question for you, looking back on your regular season journey, what is the biggest takeaway for you, or how did you guys prepare for playoffs in order to get a better result in upcoming matchups?
那么其实这毕竟是常规赛的收官之战了嘛，所以回顾常规赛的旅程 ，Mark 选手觉得会有哪些收获和感想，以及为了征战季后赛还需要做哪些准备呢？
就是感觉我们就是常规赛以9-7，是9-7吗？18-7啊。就是我们经历了5连败，确实我们所有队伍的心态，然后上面还有很多都是很不好的吧，然后就是打的会越来越急躁，然后后面因为在不同的调整，然后拿阵容 BP， 然后还有我们选手自己打的感觉就是比较有问题的，然后后面的话就是调整的，就最近调整的就算还可以吧，所以才能导致今天比赛赢了嘛。就是后面我感觉打季后赛的话，我们应该就是多注意团战，然后自己的自身的问题感觉还是得多注意一下，然后找回之前的自己，就是敢打敢拼，找回之前的我们。
Actually, looking back on our regular season journey, we end our regular season with 9 wins and maybe 7 losses. Actually, because of that 5 losing streak, we really experienced a lot of like mentality issues or the other things. But we tried and we put so many effort to try to find our competitive form and practice communication and team strategy like that. So maybe in the future we do want to make sure that we are on the same page and put more effort and try our best, and especially in playoffs to find our competitive form as Top Esports, as our whole team overall. Thank you so much for joining me. 谢谢 Mark 来到我们的赛后采访。Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Christina and Wayward, Mark, sorry, as well.